for our application for subdivision at 3000 South State Street. Having no response, I came to the board and presented that letter again on June 10th, and the board, I believe, gave direction to Chief Executive, at least the office, if not Tom Mitchell directly, to aggressively pursue communication with me to try and resolve the issues that I had raised. I have been to the Chief Executive's office every week since that direction. I have asked for a meeting with Mr. Mitchell or anybody there to discuss this. No meeting has been set. I possibly have a tentative meeting on the 17th with Tom Mitchell, but he's not in, so we don't really know if that date's truly available. I'm here to say that this is, while the issues just discussed are extremely important and very, present to this county, my issue is very important to me, and I think to the county also, because it will provide housing, both affordable as well as market rate, that this county hasn't experienced for over 8 years. And I'd just like somebody to pick the ball up and so we can work through the issues that we have, because I really don't think the board's direction has been followed by planning staff. And I would ask the board to please direct the Chief Executive's office to, make time for me, however it needs to be. So that's issue number one. If I may, on another separate issue, which I believe the board has had a lot of discussion on recently, and that is requests from the Chief Executive's office for additional expenditures for the Ukiah Valley Area Plan and the General Plan, as well as to hire a new head for the planning team. It, to me, from a, guy who does this as a living, I just don't understand why you'd want to spend $177,000 for a new head of a planning team that in every other jurisdiction I'm aware of is part of the planning department. You're going to have a new planning director. I think that he will probably be more than competent to be able to handle both current and comprehensive planning. And I just don't understand why the county would look to hire a short-term position for $177,000. Additionally, $90,000 for a greenhouse gas assessment is, in my opinion, not the right way to spend money. If the Attorney General has made threats, let him send a comment letter, and then the county can respond using a planning department staff member to say, look, we know because the RCD has the reports saying that this county has tremendous carbon sequestering capacity and is doing it. And you don't need to go through a whole study and element to demonstrate that you are going to exceed your capacity to sequester carbon. I think that's ridiculous. And then lastly, spending additional $300,000 on a water assessment report that can't possibly include water recycling is just worthless. I mean, that's where this water is, and it's what the state's going to tell you anyway. Once you put it in there, they're going to say, well, where's your conservation element? Where's your recycling element? And this is particularly egregious because the Ukiah Valley Sanitation District and the city of Ukiah agreed to put $400,000 into that study this year, and they've cut the budget to $25,000. There's not going to be anything there for you guys to say how this recycling is going to work, and you're not going to be able to have a water assessment that's going to pass muster. So I really think this needs some reconsideration. That's what I'm here to say. But my main issue for me is, can I get a response out of the Chief Executive's office? Any questions?
Supervisor Colfax first, I believe.
Just for the record, I would like to get a response from the CEO, if I can get the attention of this. Ms. Glassy?
Yes.
We have an item before us. I know you're being distracted, but we do have an issue before us here. I'm trying to comment on it and get a response from you on it. I was under the impression that there was a meeting to be scheduled within the last 2 weeks. So I will be meeting with you to get an explanation that I can pass on to my constituent with regard to this. But there was a clear indication that there would be a meeting to address some of these issues. And if you do not have a response at this time, which I don't feel is really necessary, but we definitely need to see that this goes forward as I was given the impression was going to go forward some 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Please.
I can respond to that. The office is in the process of setting up the meeting, which I believe the 17th is the date that you alluded to. Tom was trying for this Friday, and there were a bunch of other meetings that kind of crowded in on that. And other than that, up until then, basically, he's been very involved with the response to the fires and then a vacation that had been planned. So he's very aware of the need for the meeting and is planning to arrange it. And if the 17th works for all, then that's probably when it will be. And I think I've got that on my calendar. Certainly was not aware that you were saying you would meet with anyone. My understanding was that it was with Tom Mitchell, so his availability has been a little constricted lately.
Okay, Supervisor Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Stone, to your second issue with respect to the costs related to hiring of consultants and the completion of the UVAP and the general plan, I think this is a concern to all the board members. I was actually discussing some of these points that you made with the members of the business community on the coast yesterday, and my sense about it is, and I'm not sure that you're aware of this, is that we have been trying to recruit with respect to a new planning director. But in addition to that, I think that the county has really not stepped up to really assess the salary structure of those very important positions, specifically with senior planners and those that have the ability to do high-level work and get projects such as this possibly completed. I don't believe our salary schedule is competitive. We haven't been able to recruit a director to this point in time. Similarly, we can't get civil engineers to work for the county because of the pay scales. There are a number of professional positions that this is the case, and I think that if you really look at sort of the revolving door, if you will, with respect to professional positions within the county, it's a serious problem, and I think it is. We have been very short-sighted historically in the county of not looking at the planning function and really assessing what are those positions worth and what is it worth to get the work done? What is it worth to the public? And in my discussions yesterday and at other times, I really sense that the business community is far willing to step out and step up to paying additional fees to have those functions staffed appropriately with timelines that can be adhered to and work products that can be completed. So you won't have developers on the coast, as an example, having to lay off people when they were promised that permits would be processed within a certain time frame. Those time frames can't be met. I think that the business community was very aware of the staffing overloads. They were not at all critical of staff. I don't think that we have enough high-level professional positions in this county to do the workload. And you can speculate or you can investigate as to why, but until we really review our salary schedules and until I think we hire enough folks at those levels to do the work, we're going to continue to have this cycle that isn't broken. So I think that, and I brought this issue up before, I really think that the planning team and the executive function ought to be looking more at those issues for the long-term fix, because of course you can always go out and hire a consultant to get something done, and sometimes we're pressed to do that, and sometimes I think that's also a